we're going to call the meeting to order. Gary, can I ask you to do our invocation?
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this life you've given us. We thank you for this day you've given us. And we thank you for our community. We pray that what we do here tonight will be pleasing to you. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Beth?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Terry. Thank you, Beth. Madam Clerk, can you call roll, please?
Mr. Hall?
Here.
Ms. Hutto? Here. Mr. Merritt?
Here.
Mr. Stryka?
Here.
Stryker? Chairman Riga?
Here, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Any additions or deletions to the agenda tonight? And I do realize we do have a debate tonight, so we're going to be right to the point in just about everything. Okay, the last time we were here, we had the July and the August minutes that we had to review for any changes. Everybody get a chance to review the minutes? Why don't we do this for expediency's sake? Why don't we just review both of them for any changes, and then we can vote on the both of them. The only one that I'm going to recommend is on in August, just a roll call called by Donna Perdue. Okay. Very good. If you guys are okay with all other items on the agenda, if I could get a motion, please,
I'll make a motion to approve.
for both July 9th and the August 13th.
August,
Is that
yeah.
right? Very good. Can I get a second? Very good. Mr. Hall gave us a second. Can I get a vote, please?
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Hutto?
Yes.
Mr. Merritt?
Yes.
Mr. Stryker?
Yes.
Chairman Riga?
Yes, and thank you. Nice job in those minutes, too. Those are hard to do. Very good. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being interested in what we do here in the city. There's usually a lot more that goes into this than most people are aware, so we appreciate your interest and your attention. At this time, we're going to open up anybody who wants to come to the podium and bring forth any items that you may have that are not on the agenda. Very good. If nobody, yes, sir, please do. And if you'll state your name for our clerk, that would be terrific.
My name is David Michaels. I have a residence at 5114 Lance Avenue.
Would you spell your last name, sir?
Michaels, M-I-C-H-A-E-L-S.
Got that down. Okay, very good.
I'd like to know what I can build on that back of that property. I have a residence on the front half of it. I want to know what I can build on the back half.
Is it large enough to split?
So yeah, it's split. The front half is built. It's 20,000 plus square feet. And there's a manufactured home on the front half.
Okay.
It's zoned for 2 units. I want to know if I can put another manufactured home or a mobile home on the back end.
Mr. Michaels, is it low-density residential, or how is it? How's the
Mixed use,
district?
MU1.
It's MU1. Okay.
Chair, this really isn't the
Yeah,
appropriate.
yeah, I get it. We're just trying to get some, I wanted to give you some instructions there. Are you able to get online to
Yes.
go to section 4, okay? What you'll find right there is the land use districts, okay? And that's why I had a couple of those questions for you. So what you'll find there are the 7 different land use districts that we have. And then go to where your land use is, and that will show you everything that you can do on that property and if there are any prohibitions. You say it's an MU1 or MU2?
MU1.
MU1, okay, very good. So just read through the low-density residential area and then read the MU1, because what you'll see is what's accepted and then what any prohibitions that may exist.
I have some paperwork here. It says a single mobile home unit or manufactured home is okay for this property. I just want to verify it.
Well, there's a lot more involved. It may be if there was one there already. It may be the location, because the land, the LDRs have changed about 2 years ago. So if it's a mobile home, there are certain districts where they're now prevented from being placed. So what I do is encourage you to go ahead and go through that. And then the other thing you could do is if you want to go ahead and bring get on the next agenda, where it's something that we'll get a chance to pre-review before you get here in terms of where it's at, how big the lot is, whether or not it's able to be split, what the adjoining districts are. Those are all things that factor into what you can build on it.
I've got a copy of the survey. Would that help tonight?
Yes, sir, but I'd really like to give each of these commissioners the advantage of being able to review it before, they have to make, quick decisions like that.
Mr. Chair, he really needs to start with city staff,
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
not the planning
Yeah.
commission.
Yeah.
I went to the city
he
staff.
did,
They
and I
told me to come
suggested
to
that he
this
come
meeting.
here to speak before,
Yeah.
I mean, we just don't know.
So what I would do is, I would go to the Article 4s of the LDRs, okay, and look at that. And then Don is our acting clerk. What I'd recommend you do, put together a plan of what you're wanting to do so that these people will have the advantage of being able to review it. Like you say, there's a lot to review, and I don't want to give you a quick decision. That would be wrong. So you'd spend a lot of money and then, not be able to build something on it or move a trailer in there. And there's a lot to be, there's a lot there. There's districts within Parker where you can do exactly what you're wanting to do, but there's areas now that you can't. So it'll be important that we have a chance to review it
Yeah,
first.
but, I have a mobile home on there, on the front half of it already. I just wanna know if I can't put one on the back half.
It would be much beneficial to us if we could see what the size of the property is, because there are limitations. There are limitations for mobile homes, and we'd we really would prefer the benefit of reviewing it extensively before we come here.
So if I go over to your office, you can help me with this?
Come see me
So
tomorrow.
last time you told me to come here.
Yes, sir, because I
Yeah.
want to make sure I had it right. So come tomorrow, and I'll give you some paperwork, and we'll talk about it tomorrow, and I'll get you on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's gonna be the best thing, because we'll have you want a definitive answer from us, and we'll be able to do that if we get a chance to study it first.
Okay. thank
Okay?
you.
No, sir, thank you, appreciate your time. Anybody else? All right, let's do this then. Let's get right into, we have a potential address change at 41 Wood Avenue. Is that Miss Whalen, or Whaley, is that right? Okay, very good. And who are you, sir?
I'm Dave Whaley.
Dave Whaley, okay.
and
Dave.
45 West Cooper Drive, right before you go over the bridge.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good.
I'd just like to start by thanking you all for your service here. That's made a big difference in my life. I'm just in my 40th year of being in the U.S. Army, and this is my retirement year. I'm looking forward to spending all my time here in Parker. So thank you for what you do, and also I thank you for the advice on that home that I built and finished in June. I think Don may have put a picture of it in there. It's aesthetically pleasing, and it's highly functional. And so my request for tonight is I'd like to build that house again, and I'd like to do it on a different piece of property. And so there is an existing single-family home on that property right where I want this one to sit. But that property was built in the 50s, and it was badly damaged in a storm, and I wouldn't live in it. I've been in it once, and it's awful. So I'd like to, I already have the demolition permit to remove that, but, so what I have actually included too is a survey of the parcel, and then hopefully we blew up a survey, or that lot 11, what we have there. The reason for the address change, how we got here, is because the house won't sit, the current house that I like, it won't sit that lot is 145 by 65, and it won't meet the meets and bounds of, or the setbacks, excuse me, if I said it that way, so I'm just asking to turn it 90 degrees to face Blackshear. And the county didn't have an issue with it, and they offered the address of 100 Blackshear as the new address.
Is the address, okay.
So as far as the issue that I'm facing, I would like to approach this as a conforming property, because I believe lot 11 is conforming. It has a single-family structure. I'd like to replace it with another single-family structure. There was obviously a trailer or multiple other trailers on that property. I'm not requesting to put that back. I'd like to put another single-family home, basically on the same footprint that the home sits on now. It's a little bit bigger and a little bit more modern, and that's what I'd like to do, and I'd like to get some advice from the committee on.
I think we know what do you mind if we ask you a couple of questions?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Whaley, okay. So, that's one large parcel at this time, right?
Yes, sir.
And has it legally been, has it actually been split into legal lots?
It has.
It has, okay. So is the lot we're looking at for this particular one, lot number 11?
Yes, sir.
Is there another, would there be two residences on that lot 11?
No, sir.
There would only be one?
Only.
Okay. And you have at least .2 acres there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
The reason for the question, Mr. Whaley, is because when we looked at the plat here, it looks like, I can see that it's one parcel, but as long as it's legally been split into lot 11, lot 12, then it can be a conforming home, okay, and we can remove it. And then the requirements under legal non-conforming do go away, because as long as you've got .2 acres there, it's a low-density residential area. You can build a home larger that's there, as long as you're not more than .4, consume more than 40% of the property for impervious reasons. But there's a picture there where there is another residence there. Has that other residence been removed? Like that, what would be considered 29B and 29A? Has that been removed?
No,
That's still
that's
there.
not the one I'm gonna remove. There's a single-family residence on the corner, which is 41
I think
Wood.
he's talking about this.
Which that,
He's talking about removing this.
Which one are you looking at?
this.
He's
said,
This
"No,
one?
no, take this
one on
one
the
out."
corner of
But
Wood
he's
and
talking
Blackshear.
about removing
Okay.
this house.
This one here.
I was looking at the wrong picture.
That's all right.
He's not,
This is,
he's really got three different issues,
Yeah.
I think.
This is all
One
one
is the
parcel.
demolition of the existing house, the second is
Hasn't been
the
split by the
destruction of
tax
the
appraiser's
new
office.
house and the
and
addressing
this
of it.
is included.
And then the third
Yeah.
issue is that there are there are mobile homes on what appears to be the balance of the property.
So the property consists of 2 duplexes, 1 single-family home, 12 trailers, and 2.
The parcel or the parcel or the lot?
I'm sorry, the parcel. I'm sorry, the
Okay.
parcel consists of all of those
Okay.
things. Yes, sir. And this lot only has this single-family home on it. That's
So if you wanna, you're asking first is to split that lot 11 out from the
No.
rest of the parcel?
no, sir.
Okay.
No, I'm hoping to not have to do that. I'm hoping that this is, if we do decide, I'm as Mr. Rega pointed out, I don't think that this is going to push us into non-conforming, and
Because it's already legally been split into lot 11 from
Yes.
the parcel.
yes, sir.
And it's okay,
And
very
it's-
good.
And it reads that way in the legal description, meets and bounds, plus it incorporates lot 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Okay.
and s-
Well, even though it's one parcel, if it's legally been split into a lot which would only have one residence, is there any barriers to, there wouldn't be any barriers to him rebuilding a single-family home on that legally defined new lot, right? And spinning
Well,
it to
it's not a
Blackshear?
New lot, I mean, it's platted, Long Point Park First Edition plat, so.
Gotcha.
That
It's
lot
platted.
11
I have
is
the
a
deed
platted
for
lot.
the individual lot. I have the deed for lot 11, lot 12. I have
You apparently have 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Yes, sir.
And you're just asking to have a address change because it's gonna face
Yes, sir.
another direction.
Yes, sir.
Blackshear instead of wood, right?
Is there any drawback to that?
The only, like I say, the only confusion was, on the picture we got, it's low density, that's low density residential.
Right.
And then the property across the West Cooper Drive, that's MU2. And that's the one where you've got a bunch of additional,
You can have a
items
house on
there.
either, correct?
But the, the mobile homes that are actually in lot 12, that's a separate lot.
Right.
So it's not, it wouldn't come into play here.
Right.
So have you obtained a demolition permit to tear the house down?
Yes, sir, it's been approved, and, Jamie sent it to me before she left, and, I am just withholding doing anything until I,
Yeah.
get some advice from.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Well, here's the way I see this, Mr. Sloan. It's legally been split into a lot, so we have one parcel, but it's been segmented into lots. It's gonna be on lot number 11. As long as he doesn't exceed the 40% impervious. Our engineer, by the way, our Anchor Engineering has said it's okay to spin the home towards Blackshear, as long as all other setbacks are appropriate. Now, she went a different pathway here because she thought too that there was another residence on there. So the only way, that's why I had my questions about legal nonconforming, Mr. Whaley, because if you had another residence there, it's a low-density residential area, and that would complex things.
Yes, sir.
And you could do it, but it would have to be done a different way in the same footprint, and that was what she gave us, so that's why I asked those questions.
Yes, sir.
So if there's just gonna be a single residence on it, you have at least 0.2 acres of land on that, so that is,
It's 9,480 something square feet, I think. It was 145 by 65. I
yeah,
think
and you
is the
need
lot.
8,100 to be like a 0.2, so you're over what you need.
Yes, sir.
Good, okay.
Does the size of the house matter? Does the size of the house matter as far as leaving the impervious?
Yes, sir, it'd have to be less than the 0.4, but as long as,
Calculated it is.
Okay.
so less than 2,600 square feet about, 2,700 square feet,
It's actually right at 2,000.
Okay.
It's.
under that.
Pretty amazed that
Yeah.
I'm able to jam all that into that.
Well, it's a good question, though, because what Mr. Hall's talking about is, that includes driveways, sheds, everything has to be under that 0.4. Parker floods, as you know, and we're pretty sensitive about that. But really, you're just, at this point, wanting to demolish the home, and you're wanting an address change to spin it towards Blackshear. And as long as everything you just told us is right, in terms of it being one residence in a low-density residential area, that lot 11's already legally been split off of the parcel.
And I have the deed.
Am I missing anything, Mr. Sloan?
I think as long as the first one comes down before he builds a new one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You gotta do that, right?
So you're gonna pull the old, concrete and everything out of there before you put the new one in?
Yes, sir.
All right,
We're gonna have a big
All right.
backhoe in there.
all right. So really, you're just looking for an address change and the option to move forward, and one residence, lot 11, and it'll have a larger footprint than the one that's there, but you're well within that, the 0.2 acres and well within the floor area ratio, so I think I need a motion.
Are we recommending to the city council for them to review this? I'll make a motion. We recommend to the city council for them to review.
To review or to approve?
To approve it.
Review and approve.
Yeah, very good. I'm looking for a second now. Okay, very good. Madam Clerk, can we get a vote, please?
Sorry. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Hutto?
Yes.
Mr. Merritt?
Yes.
Mr. Stryker?
Yes.
And Chairman Riga?
Yes, and Mr. Whaley, thank you for all the good information you gave us, and it makes it a whole lot easier for us to kind of review it and get down to what you're trying to get done. So thanks for beautifying Parker.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And now you do have another step. You gotta go before council members, but they'll get you got a unanimous yes from us, and I can't imagine why they would say no, because everything looks like it's completely compliant. All right, very good.
If you was to win that, would be on the agenda.
Next Tuesday?
Next council meeting,
Next Tuesday.
which is the 17th. Okay.
Very good.
You're
No, no,
welcome.
Mr. Whaley, thank you. Did you say you're military, former military?
I am.
Thank you for your service, sir. We
Thank
appreciate you.
Very well.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. Okay, the next one is, do we have a Pettibone in the crowd? Is that Miss Pettibone? Well, thanks for telling her to stay home, because he's just getting over it.
I'm Gwen Stewart, and I live in her house. She and her siblings own it at the end of the street here, 4705 E6. And, I need a carport, cause my car is getting ruined on the sun and the birds. And, I've got the perfect place for it where nobody will even notice it from the road next to the shed, and it'll match the shed, so it'll blend in well. So that's what we're
Very good.
trying to get approved.
Ms. Stewart, are you pretty familiar with what they're trying to do on this site then? So you know, if I asked you some questions, you'd be able to answer them?
Probably not. My son might. He's
Okay.
Temporarily with me, so he might.
Okay. So what, let me just kind of give everybody sort of a summary here real fast. So what Ms. Stewart is doing, is Mary Pettibone is your?
Yes.
Okay.
stepdaughter.
What they're wanting to do is they're wanting to put a carport on the property. It looks, the setbacks are all appropriate. The one thing that would require the variance would be that they have a current shed that's on the property, and they want to put it within 3 feet of the shed. Now, it looks to me, this is my first question to you, it looks to me like they've got plenty of room to move it towards the road so that you'd have that 10-foot divide between the shed and the carport. Is there a reason they just didn't move it?
It looked crappy.
Thank you for your honesty, Ms. Stewart. Okay, that, and I appreciate that honesty because it helps us kind of get down to business. Okay, so let me.
They did answer the question wrong, though.
Yeah, I saw that. So I want to give everybody sort of what I found out. So I dug into the Florida building codes about building separation. And that's going to be chapter 5 and 7 within the building codes. And Ms. Stewart, the reason we do that is because much of our LDRs and our comprehensive plan is based on what Florida recommends that municipalities do. So found some interesting things, okay? What Florida's primarily, what Florida building codes are primarily interested in is the separation of dwelling and the separation of accessory buildings from dwellings. However, when you specifically go into the pages which talk about non-dwellings or accessory buildings to accessory buildings, they don't have a standard. We do. Our standard is 10 feet. However, I almost wonder if when it was written, it was sort of an unintentional consequence. There's two things that the state of Florida is interested in when they look for separation of buildings. Fire, because they don't want, if you have a shed and you got a dwelling next to it and you carry gas cans and lawnmowers and all of that stuff in your shed, they don't want it to start your house on fire. Now, their home is significantly distanced from the shed and also the possible carport. So what she's asking for is a variance there to build it within that 10 feet. Now, what Mr. Sloan is talking about is when you answer these questions about the variances, it's 7 questions, and they all have to be in the affirmative in order for us to move forward. However, I'm sensitive to the fact that in several of the questions we have double negatives, which means that it's sometimes a little hard to follow. For example, it'll say the hardship is not a result of the actions of the owner and is not used solely, et cetera. So it's hard to kind of follow that sometimes. So your answer may have been yes, but we don't know that. So, sir?
She was uncertain how to answer. Mary.
Yeah, and I get that. I'm familiar with it, and sometimes it's tough for me. So at the end of the day, what the intent of the separation is according to Florida code, is separation from dwellings where you're gonna be living and primary structures. Primary structures would be if you had a business on it, because they don't want your business to start on fire. But we've got a shed and we've got a carport, okay? Neither dwelling and neither a primary structure. So that's the way I see it. I wanted to give you that, you know, verbiage, so that we could, you know, be making sort of a,
If I may say something, because this, the area where she wants to build this pole barn butts to my rental properties.
yes, ma'am.
They're a good distance away, there wouldn't be any kind of issue there. I would prefer that they build a pole barn versus a closed-in garage, because then it wouldn't take away from the water use for neighbors and whatnot, so.
Sure.
Yes, Ms.
Just my
King.
opinion.
I appreciate that. So now I have to ask our legal advisor here. So I know what, having boned up on the Florida statutes and the Florida code, I know what the intent was in terms of structures, separation, and I probably reviewed 500 pages of it. I could not find a single thing that talked about separation from two accessory buildings. Everything was referred to separation to a
Resident.
dwelling, a residential, or a primary structure when it was a business. Are we appropriate as a advisory council to, despite how the answers were answered here, to make a recommendation to council, either yea or nay, based on the fact that these were answered wrong?
Well, again, the applicant bears the burden of by clear and convincing evidence of demonstrating each of those following. So they've got to do, they've got the burden. So at this point, you've got a form that's not properly filled out, no explanation, other than we heard really the reality of it. But they have the burden of demonstrating to you, and more importantly, at the end, to the council.
I got you.
And of course, I would remind the chair, this is technically a quasi-judicial proceeding, so
Gotcha.
we should have sworn in
Oh,
the
very good. Okay.
the applicant and anyone who wanted to speak
Very good.
technically.
Okay, very good. Can we still do that?
You can still do that. I'm not sure at this point what you're gonna do with it, but
Okay. Well, here's what's going on. So what our legal advisor has just informed us is that because we're kind of stuck, because we're in a position where you file for a variance. And the decision that the city has made was that if any of these essentially are no, then we have to follow those rules. I think what could probably most likely occur would be if you would redo the variance application based on how you feel the answers should actually be. Because again, they're hard to follow, double negatives, some single negatives.
and actually give explanations that
Yeah.
would be helpful.
Yeah, and then, you know, if it's for vanity's sake, as you had identified, you know, then identify that, just it's for vanity purposes. And then they'll have an option to, you know, say, well, we get it, especially since you have a neighbor here who has said, yeah, it would be.
Yeah, they just put up a huge pole barn across the street right up on their house, enormous.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they got the approval to do that. And
Yeah.
I can't get a car forward.
Well, it's not that you can't, it's just that however the information was filled out in the variance report, it was not appropriate, it's not right.
No
It's,
common sense.
yeah, it really just needs to probably be redone.
Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
if someone was to pull that record, we would need to show that we did our due diligence in making sure that the paperwork was filled out correctly.
Yeah.
So Mary Lee will have to.
Have her revisit that, I mean, nothing else. Yeah, everything else, Ms. Stewart, looks good, except for that variance. So you're asking for a variance, or she's asking for a variance, And it really is just a matter of reviewing those questions so that this commission can go ahead and have a little bit more information about what it is.
So she'll need to do those and come before this commission again.
That's appropriate thing for a
And
variance.
that's gonna be a month away,
Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes, ma'am. It is likely, yeah.
and then you have to go through another hoop after this.
Well, generally, that's within a week or two, or, yeah, that's usually within a week or two after our meeting, because then the council members are gonna review it themselves, take our recommendation, and then move forward.
Okay, I'll give her a report of the people doing the
And
work.
here's the other-
This Parker's the only one that requires all this, they're doing them everywhere else. and
No,
not
ma'am,
running into these problems.
most of them do. That's not at all true. We're very familiar with what Callaway and everybody else does. If you have a building, if you need a building permit, then it generally goes through planning, especially in a flood zone, especially if it's in a circumstance
The
where.
property has been there since the 1940s in this family, and it's never had water problems.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah, just, I was giving you examples
Yeah.
of why other communities do review, new structures, new construction before it gets built.
Okay.
But here's the good news for you, is that Dawn is our acting clerk, and she heard everything that was just said. So I would suggest that, Ms. Pettibone, go ahead and kind of go back to the drawing board and, review that. And then the next time what we'll do is, Mr. Sloan is absolutely right. I messed up, and that I needed to make this a quasi judicial so that any neighbors could come before us and offer their opinions here as well. And there are a lot of communities that don't have these kinds of commissions, and you know who they are. And what municipalities like Parker are trying to do is avoid another Panama City Beach where you can't see the water for 2 miles. That's why these people exist, because we're trying to make Parker a better place than some of the places we've seen built around here. And this certainly doesn't, this is relatively straightforward. If there's any way that, Ms. Pettibone could move that to the 10-foot away, that would be the easiest thing to do. The only reason it's a variance is because of where you're wanting to build it. If you moved it another 7 feet, which I can't imagine would change, the way it looks all that much, then this young lady right here approves it, and it doesn't come before us. So the only reason it's here is because you're asking for a variance outside the rules. So I'm just trying to offer some perspective to you, okay? All right.
Okay.
Thank you,
It'll
Ms.
look better
Stewart.
where I want it, and I get the birds off the car.
There you go. Thank you. Very good. Okay. All right, lads, it's 5:30. We're gonna make the 7 o'clock debates. All right, so,
Gotta make 6:15 out.
6:15? Let's do it. Here's the good news. We're now on to the next thing on the agenda. The next thing on the agenda is to review the comprehensive plan for the next 15 pages. So let's go right to it. Okay, we're now on,
Mr. Regan?
yes,
So I pointed out to Donna earlier that in that picture that, and this is just sitting on me, so I'm just gonna put it out here.
sure.
In that picture that we saw of this prior piece of property,
Mhm.
there's a tree, and she, of course, they wanna push it up against the thing. That tree is being removed today. I asked Donna if she knew if there had been approval to remove that tree, and she said she did not know.
I don't think so.
But if that tree is being removed,
Yeah. Is it diseased or something?
I
I
don't
think
know.
it was, it had a giant limb that fell down out of it, that was laying in the yard for a long time, and
I
now she's
didn't get
having
out
it
and
removed.
ask it
You
if
have,
it
you
was
still have to have it
diseased.
permitted. I mean, it's a huge oak tree.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been, if it was permitted or not, I know there's
Yeah.
been a crew there for the last 2 days.
So, just.
Well, let me ask you a question, though. She lives there now?
That lady does, yes,
Yes.
Miss
sir.
Stewart lives there, yeah, after Mr. Stewart passed away, the children allowed her to live there.
And Miss Stewart's the one who's taking the tree down?
Yeah, Miss Stewart is one, well, I
Okay.
don't know,
But
the
if-
children pay for all the maintenance and upkeep of the property.
But unless it's a heritage, historic, or champion tree, if she's the resident of that, we have an exception. She can take it down.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
I believe
But
it
if we take
probably
that
is.
tree down, then there's
probably one of
technically
those
room
three.
to.
It's probably one of the 3.
Look, I'll show you the
Yeah.
picture. It's huge oak.
Okay,
But there's,
That tree right there.
I got you. Well.
opportunity.
Not a bad idea to probably send Randy that way. It
I
would be
will
my
tomorrow.
guess. We're planning, and quite frankly, and I get it, but I think logically, the only reason it was before here is because we're asking for a variance, and
Right.
another 7 feet would make all the difference in the world.
Yes.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep.
I just happened to drive around the properties today looking, and I'm like,
Okay.
I love how much y'all love trees.
Oh
love
my
trees.
God.
they suck water.
How do you not?
We need them desperately.
Yeah.
I miss
Desperately.
trees.
All right, so we're on page 4.1, infrastructure element. This section is about maintaining the infrastructure, water, sewer, drainage, solid waste removal. This is completely in alignment with what the LDRs are. This is talking about, sewer. We identify that we'll make sure that from a concurrency standpoint, the city continues to maintain that they can remove 100 gallons of sewage per day per person. And that's in exact compliance with what the rules are.
Right.
Does anybody have any recommendations? That's kind of straightforward stuff. I don't really see anything that,
I think that the potable water was straightforward.
Yeah.
yeah, you're exactly right. The next one's potable water. We identify that we're gonna deliver 108 gallons of potable water at 50 PSI per day. And we're gonna follow all the rules, particularly the Florida Administrative Code. We're gonna follow all of the rules with regard to, this is really about concurrency. We're gonna continue to make sure that we provide each of these services as the city grows. Okay, very good. And then
I would point out to Donna that on page 4-2, the bottom policy, the city will adopt a water supply facilities work plan every 10 years.
Go.
And make sure that that is on the calendar. To do that.
Yeah, very good. Every 10 years, yeah. Tony's probably already got that made, would be
Okay.
my guess, because he's in charge of all of that stuff. I would imagine he's got that plan already concocted.
Okay.
All right, and then 4-3, stormwater standards. So the first one was about, sewage, second one was about potable water, third one's about stormwater. Again, pretty straightforward. It's about improving and monitoring and exceeding the growth requirements. This is more about just making sure that we stay ahead of the game when it comes to services for, any growth that we would have.
The only thing on that, Mr. Chair, is on page 4-4.
Mhm.
Policy
4-4.
4C24.
Yes, sir.
You had been looking at changing to the 100-year storm event.
Yes, sir. 100-year, 24-hour storm. That's exactly right. Yeah, that was,
25 years.
Did I get ahead of you?
no, at one page, that's okay. I got a note right there. I was just gonna bring it up. So that was one of my changes. So what we're talking about here, everybody, is in all of the LDR, the Florida Administrative Code, along with the Florida Building Codes, had all gone to a much more stringent code. And that was rising water due to rain, and ultimately they had gone to the 100-year, 24-hour storm event. That is an old one. I think we probably may have even called that out last year when we did this, but it probably just didn't get
caught.
Well,
caught.
I'm thinking that maybe you change the LDR to that, and we need to now change this to
Oh, yes.
that standard.
Very good. So Donna, if on your, that's policy 4C.2.4, it uses the old standard of 25 years, 8-hour storm event. And just so you'll all know, the difference between that is really about 2 inches of rainwater, which is a lot. So you go from 10.5 to like 13.1 inches of water, with the difference between a 25-year and a 100-year rain event, but that's a lot of water. Yep. So we'll need to make sure that.
Yeah, we'll need to change that in the next comp plan amendment that we do.
Very good. So that's, once again, that's on page 4-4, policy 4C.2.4. Okay. The next one is monitor and protect coastal resources. This is section 5. The items that I focused on when I read through this is really, we just need to make sure that from a management standpoint, anytime that there's dredging and fill operations and wetlands and seagrass, there's a lot of sensitivity around that. Construction of piers, docks, wharves, seawalls, and other similar structures. If you remember in an earlier section, we would recommend we bring that back to council rather than, because it's a complexity issue there that I don't think we should just give to our clerk to make a decision, because he or her is gonna, you know, you gotta make sure that that you've got permits in place, that you've got environmental protection standards already allocated, that there's no seagrass that's there when you do that sort of thing. And then this also is talking about any removal of shoreline vegetation. So if you're putting in a seawall or something like that, you can do that, but you've got to get the appropriate permits in place, and the discharge of any pollutants that would exist. All right, very good. And I don't personally see any changes that have to be administered on that page, but that would be 5.1. Any thoughts, anybody? No? Okay, very good. All right, very good. And then pretty much the same thing on 5.2. We're just asking that Parker remain in compliance with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, the federal EPA, and also Florida Wildlife Conservation when anything related to wetlands, protection of living marine sources, resources, shoreline stabilization, any of that stuff is essentially done. I think this is actually really written quite well, so I kept thinking, what would we have to add to this in order to improve it? And I really couldn't find anything. I thought it's really a good Bible for how we conduct ourselves as a city.
I put a question mark on 5.3.4.
That the next page?
Is that being done, pump out stations at the marinas?
3.4, is that on page?
Page
The next page?
5-3.
Okay, I just hadn't gotten there, Tony.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Terry, no, it's okay. We're on 5.3, and you're looking at 5.3.4?
Yeah.
Provide a hurricane
5.3.3
mitigation
also.
evacuation plan?
Something to look at.
Now, marinas with fueling facilities will provide pump out facilities at each dock. I take that means sewer pump out.
Yeah, and those with liveaboard transient traffic, right? So you don't have to have it unless you've got liveaboards.
Is that like rodeo? Is that like Smuggler's Cove if they still have a quote marina?
If you've got liveaboards, I believe that's a state requirement. I think that's right out of the state requirements, where if you've got liveaboards, you have to have a pump out facility.
Okay.
So the question is now,
Is that being?
liveaboards are not somebody who goes down and spends a weekend on their boat now. There are standards for what a liveaboard, somebody who's actually living on their boat. But it's a darn good question. But what we're talking about right now is, do we change what's here, or do we have something like an action we have to take in order to make sure
Yeah,
that.
I was just asking if that's being done, because I didn't see that meant liveaboards. I thought that just meant if you sell fuel, you have to have that.
No, it's.
Does not?
Yeah, it's commercial marinas and it's an and
Okay.
those with liveaboard overnight transient traffic, yeah.
But this would apply to new marinas that are
Right.
being permitted,
Okay.
so, that's been
I
there a
don't
long
foresee that
time.
coming.
Yeah. I would also point out 5.3.3, which is, I'm not sure everybody understands that you've gotta have a submerged land lease in order to have a marina.
A submerged land lease
didn't
with
know
the
that
state, yeah, because you lease it from the state.
That's why
But
we have you to answer
is that
questions.
like, is that a Randy thing?
Well, if someone came in and wanted to permit a marina going forward, they would have to comply with that. Classic example, out on the beach, there is a marina that was astonishingly allowed to be created by excavating the upland. And therefore, there is no submerged land lease on that entire marina, which
Wow.
they have, I don't know, 100 boats in.
Oh,
So in Parker, they couldn't have done that,
no,
is my
Yeah.
point.
true.
This also has to do with the county emergency management plan. And again, it's really just the verbiage that we would live by, but your question's a good one, Terry. Are we doing it, is the question. And I don't know the answer to that. But I think that might be a code guy thing.
Yeah, but I think he said this applies to new.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 5.3.2 says all new expanded or redeveloped marinas shall. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Well, although, some of the RV parks that are out there, I think have put in boat,
That's what I was wondering, because Smuggler's Cove used to say RV park and marina.
and marina, yeah. Yep. Good question. And quite frankly, that's a compliance issue, and I think it's one where we should probably ask Donna to maybe just talk to Randy about and just see if, I know he's still kind of new for all practical purposes, and he's
Right.
probably still, got the brain drain going on in terms of learning all new things, but that's a really good question. Is he aware of that? But again, to Mr. Sloan's point, that's all new, but we may have an expanded marina, and that might be one of the RV parks that's out there. Okay, does anybody see anything that might need to be changed on 5.5-3, that page? Okay, very good. And then this is a continuation of the emergency plan. So Parker is supposed to have standards for evacuating people during a disaster. They're supposed to have construction standards, as we do within the LDRs. And then you're supposed to have a post-disaster policy to speed recovery. That's really what that's about. It's sort of a ABC plan that makes sense to me. In terms of the verbiage that's there, we cover some of the things like, how do we know when a home is, has to comply to whatever the new standards are, 50% of damage, those sorts of things. Those things all match up with the LDRs. Okay, moving on to 5-5. Let's go. This is about recreation, providing waterfront access from the city. If we're doing a good job there, guys. I mean, look at the new Parker Pier. Look at some of the other things that we've recently done. I know we recently rejuvenated that boat launch over there. But that's all about making sure that those recreational access to the waterways are being developed. And again, I don't find any mistakes. I don't find any conflicts with the LDRs. It looks pretty straightforward. Okay. And then section 6 is a conservation element. This is about natural resources, maintaining policies consistent with the Florida Administrative Code. It's about water runoff, about controlling erosion, and making sure that we conduct ourselves appropriately with other municipalities to make sure that we work with them to have the same goals. And to Terry's earlier point, I don't know if we do that kind of thing. I know that, it's a good idea, but I don't know if we actually have steps in place to do it. I know the police probably talk to those guys all the time, but this is about conservation, and making sure that we have the same goals as they do. But in terms of the verbiage that's here, I mean, they even talk about, I'm not sure how this would get done. I mean, 6.1.2, the city will assist in limiting air pollution from auto emissions by maintaining and establishing levels of service standards. I've never seen auto emission service standards, but that's in our comprehensive plan.
We put in sidewalks.
There you go. That's actually, you know what? You're right about that.
That's right.
But you're absolutely right, because they do talk about minimizing driving because of, sidewalks and bicycle paths and things of that nature.
There's those things.
But again, this is less about compliance and more about, you know, is there anything there that you would change?
No.
Or recommend that we change?
Didn't see anything there.
Very good. Okay, and then the next one, we just talked about trees. This is about maintaining native vegetation. Like I say, just, you know, generally, if you get new construction or something of that nature and you're taking trees out, we have a tree replacement program. It's not that you can't do it. We want you to avoid taking out any of the champion or heritage or historical trees that are out there. But it's also about making sure that developers ultimately put foliage back in and nice landscaping that's specific to Florida so that they don't have to water it as often or things of that nature. But that looks pretty good too. That's at objective 6.4, maintain procedures to protect native vegetation and stands for mature hardwoods. Very good. Any recommended changes there, guys? Any thoughts?
No.
And listen, if we get to the next meeting and anybody's got to go back to a
Yeah.
page because there's something that's glaring and you see it. And then the next page is really just a continuation of the conservation standards. This is really about just making sure that any developers, any builders do, grab the appropriate permits. And that we maintain appropriate building standards that impact sensitive resources that we have, like Martin Lake and all of our seashore. All right, turning the page. Okay, this is another page of continuing the conservation. This one specifically spells out using Florida-friendly plants.
Which one are you on now, 6.3?
6.4 or 6-4.
6.4.
Mhm. And if there are no changes to that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the page. Okay. And then this next one is about maintaining recreation and open space element. I think we're doing a hell of a job here.
Very good.
You know, we've got the new pier. Everybody's probably gotten a chance to see Melinda Park. We're right now in the process of rebuilding the sports complex. And I understand we're putting new memorials in Memorial Park right now. Those are some very, very nice things that we as a small city, a small municipality are doing. And I will note that those parks are all very nice. I
We
mean,
need
they're
to
nice
add,
parks.
I don't know that we've got a name for it yet, but Melindy Park needs to be added on here as number 6, cause that is not actually on here.
Great catch.
And
Great
then the
catch.
pier itself is sort of a separate item. Do we need to add that as an additional, or can we do like Earl Gilbert Park and the Parker Pier?
It's a good point, because it's a designated public recreational sites available to residents in the city are, and then we've got the 5 that are there. So you would add the pier,
Funded separately.
and that's probably nothing that's critical, right, Mr. Sloan? But the next time we have to change, we could add these. So we'd add the Parker Pier, and then we're probably gonna change the name of Melinda Park to whatever it's gonna be. So, but I get it, right? So, and then we're gonna add Melinda Park, right?
Yeah.
Good catch. So
You
add the
know-
pier, add the park.
We're doing so much work to both of those, and we've still got people over there trying to tear it up.
Already?
Dude,
Several
dude,
times.
dude.
Okay, this is a dumb question. What is Pete?
Pete?
where is it?
Parker
It's on Lake Drive.
Experimental
Okay, that's the one that's down by Martin Lake.
Exploration, there's too many X's.
Parker Environmental Exploration Park.
Environmental exploration.
Right, just didn't know the name of it.
Is
Buy it.
is
Know
it
the
something
name of
that we could put in there that all the new parks or new facilities being built must have some kind of camera system?
You don't wanna do that.
No.
Like, just the Wi-Fi cameras, whatever, just to.
Well, there
These
are,
are goals for land use, not
Yeah.
how you're gonna
there are
protect them.
plans for that, and they do have access to cameras. This is how they've been able to get some of these folks. But the Melindy Park, there were some people up riding I don't know if they were motorized bikes of some sort around where all the new planting and stuff is. And it's closed. It says closed.
There are cameras back by the keyboard.
But there are plans for,
So
I think. there's-
add, okay, very good. All right, and then, we're moving on, thank you for that contribution, Bev, that was excellent, okay, and then we're on to 7.2. This is really about continuation of the recreational facilities. We do a heck of a job here, essentially, we've set a standard that says we're gonna have 8.75 acres of parks and playground for every 1,000 people in the city. Yeah, we're way over that, cause we have what, 4,400 people, 4,200 people? And that would be, well, you know, about 40, about 40 acres of land. We've got a whole lot more than that. So that's excellent. And also, the other thing we've done that we changed in the LDRs is we added the green space that new developers will put in when they develop new subdivisions or what have you. So we're all over this. We do that primarily for, you know, humans, for a standpoint of extra recreation facilities and, you know, a quality of life standards things, but it's also because of flooding and all practical reasons as well. All right, very good. Any recommended changes here? Okay, I think a lot of this is, these are just, remember the comprehensive plan is really just sort of the general Bible for how the LDR will be written for standards. And we put general statements in here like the city will require that open space be provided by developers as part of new development activities. And then we detail it in the LDRs. Okay, and then we're ending policy, you know, the 7th policies here, 753 and 754. And this is really just about how recreational land is going to be acquired, okay, by the city. And then what the city will do to accommodate public utilities and other easements that may need to be placed across those recreational areas. It's really straightforward. Whenever you're dealing with FDOT or DEP or, you know, Northwest Florida Water Management Districts, you gotta be accommodating to them. Okay, and then we'll end right here, just because it's just a few minutes till 6. But if we could get the next 15 pages after here, so we're ending in 8.1, and we'll pick up the pieces there in October. Okay? The next 15 pages if we could. Mr. Sloan, do you need the summary for the first 15 pages? You let me, or you already
Can
got
I
it?
copy it?
You can have that. Yeah, because I've got that written down. That shows you the page number right there, okay? Page 1.2, page 1.3, and then what the reasons. And I think you were the one who brought up that last one about, let's see, yeah, use the, oh, no, that's just the recommendation. Here's the last one, I'm sorry. You brought up the last one there about objective 3.6 and 3.6, 3.6.1 are out of order, because I think they're like in 3.4 or something. Terry?
Yes, sir, I'm a happy camper.
Good deal, thank you, glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
Deb, how you feeling, you doing okay?
I'm
Anything
kicking
for the-
along.
Anything for the group here?
No.
Okay, very good. Donna?
I'm good.
Mr. Hall, any thoughts for the group? Okay, or anything you wanna bring up? Okay. Mr. Sloan, anything we need to do to stay out of jail a little more effectively than perhaps we already are?
You won't find my number next to the phone at the jail, that's all I'm gonna say.
In that case,
So
thanks.
you better know it, or
Thanks for
call
everybody.
someone else.
Right.
Thanks for everybody, I appreciate all the work everybody does here. Donna, you are
Thank you.
amazing, thank you for
Oh,
filling in.
thank
Thank you.